You're listening to The Dating Den with dating and relationship badass and best-selling author Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important dating, sex, and relationship issues you want to know about. So if you're ready for true talk that's authentic and unfiltered, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
The Dating Den Bachelor Recap with Chris Gillis. The neon signs you aren't seeing that he will never commit. Ladies, welcome into the Dating Den. Okay, look, we are going to talk about the damn Bachelor finale. We're recording this 48 hours after. It's probably good I had a cooling off period because I wanted to lose my shit. I'm so happy that Chris Gillis is here, and I want to say, and I said this before we even started the show, there's a lot of stuff that we could discuss about The Bachelor and The Bachelor finale. However, all of those are outside the scope of my expertise. However, what I do want to discuss has barely been discussed, and I think for our purposes to illuminate what you can learn about men and dating and love and relationship, there is so much that sort of was like put on the silver platter in the last episode or so, for sure into the finale. I am very excited to talk about that because I am definitely an expert at that, and so are you.
I think, I haven't heard you this excited in a while. And are you excited to talk about that, or are you excited that this damn season's over?
I'm excited that the damn season is over. Literally, when we were watching in our little COVID bubble, I know I was annoying, but I kept just saying, "We called it. We called it. We called this guy." It's like. You knew Tom Brady was going to go to another team and they're still going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
It's like, this guy is just, he was like, what do they say in that little, the wolf in sheep's clothing? No, the sheep in wolf's clothing, right? Like, he is like dressed up pretty boy. He's nice. Yeah. He's whatever. And it's like, look, take that, go back and look at him on Instagram a year ago when, Tyler Cameron was in his crew with Hannah Brown and all of them in Florida dancing around, doing shit at the beginning in lockdown and the quarantine crew. That guy didn't show up. He was all prettied up and dressed up and, put on the camera. But in the end, that guy is relationship-commitment-phobic fuckboy.
Yep.
And in the end, and this is what is really important. I'm sorry, I'm really passionate about it, but I want to just start here.
You are on one.
Today. I am. Because listen.
You broke up with Matt James.
No, but I know I did. And I think, because you've always been really honest about, where you've come in your own manvolution. This is what a fuckboy does. He is cute. He is nice. We can always find something, give him the benefit of the doubt. But in the end, when he gets super uncomfortable, he actually will be a dick. And that is what he did to Michelle, to even Rachel, not showing up and getting someone else to say, like, I need time. And then, in my opinion, not having conversations with people. Apparently, after the show ended, he wouldn't even talk to Michelle off camera. Yep. In the end, a fuckboy will be like, you know what? Not worth having sex with this person. Not worth, the game's over. I'm out. I'm a dick. I'm just going to disappear. And basically that's, again, just in the context of dating, that is what I saw him do. And it pisses me off. And that's where you give a guy, he has so much potential, right? He was like the guy that women date because he has potential. I'll stop my rant. You talk.
Yeah, I was going to say, holy moly.
That was 3 minutes and 50 seconons.
Baby, I'm like, should I just log off and do something? Marni is passionate. I haven't seen you this on one for a while. And you nailed it. He's ultimately, dude, and that's what's so dangerous. And this is why, I always, sometimes my stomach locks up when you use the word fuckboy, but now I have a better understanding because when men think of fuckboy, we're like, oh, that's that asshole who just fucking leaves girls right and left and just hooks up and steals your girl. But no, dude, the true fuckboy is the true, the alpha fuckboy is the one who is the meanest. He is the wolf with the razor sharp teeth in the butteriest, softest, like you said, in the sheep's clothing. He's that wolf. He looks so nice. He looks so shiny and perfect. And then meanwhile, then afterwards, of course, you have to deal with all of his fucking garbage and all of his secrets, and he just eviscerates and lights you up. I have buddies who don't watch the show, and their girlfriends made them watch it, and they were like, I fucking hate this guy. They were like, what? This guy pisses me off, and it's insane. I bet the nation. I bet he was the most hated person in the nation on Monday night.
Look, here's the thing though. I don't know, because I told you I went on Clubhouse, which we're going to be going on after the live show here. After we record, we're going to be going live. But I went on Tuesday morning, and it's interesting because some still see him as like a woman was like, oh, he's so articulate. I was like, what?
No.
I'm like,
no.
What?
What?
In what
No.
way?
No.
So I want to start off with like something, and this is important, is like, what can we learn if you were going to connect the dots? Now we've got however many 10 or 11 weeks of this guy. How do you know you are dating someone who is emotionally unavailable? Like, if you look at like how he showed up, and then how it proves out in the end when he finally realizes he has some challenges with commitment. What do you think were the pivotal signs someone could, because hindsight's 2020. Thank God all of our listeners didn't have to date him and learn from it. We could just observe and learn from it. What were the key moments for you where you were like, this guy is a commitment phobe.
Yeah.
He's emotionally unavailable.
It was every time that one of these women, there were some badass girls on here. Every time one of them would be ballsy enough to step into that uncomfortable void that he creates of actually speaking about himself and sharing himself and opening himself up to be vulnerable, which we always talk about is potentially not being liked and not getting a response that he wants, which he never. Tucker was like, he's like Teflon. He's impossible, a grease pig, impossible to get a hold of and to actually get his opinion or view on anything. And I think it's the way he always evaded that. And every time they would say something, he would either grab his hand, run it up their thigh, or grab them by the back of the head and just start making out with them, basically, and not giving anything at all. But giving them, kiss and like jamming their radar with a big mouthful of smooches. I always like, wow, when he did that one time and two times, but unlike we spoke about, like unlike Zach from Tayshia's season, who did finally open up, he stayed. He kept his right to remain silent to the very fucking
till
end.
the very
sure enough,
end.
And you know what's so cruel? What people always think, especially right now, like in people, everyone getting their feelings hurt and triggered. I think it's actually more cruel to not give somebody anything and to sit there and just starve them out and just let them figure it out alone and let them keep giving and putting into the pot. In the end, the dude never put anything into the pot. So shocker, he was able to walk away because he never gave himself to anybody really.
Yeah.
And it was just, man, that actually did. And that's what was disturbing about it. I was like, that's what's sad. And that's what I think, man, it's so important that people do learn and listen for this. And I'm sure I don't, but unfortunately, there's so many people who are like, oh, well, he technically never said anything bad.
He never said anything. It was just, he never said anything. And I think, and that's the thing, like, I think this is what I really want people to hear is that don't be confused, right? So when you say something vulnerable and someone says back to you, like, thanks for sharing that, or I think that was, that makes sense, or, I think that's really cool. Like literally, if we were John Madden and we were watching the tapes, I would go and I'd do a play-by-play of Tayshia and her conversation with Ivan from the last season where they're talking about racial injustice and how they grew up and that back and forth of actual vulnerable conversation. And I would put that side by side of oh Lord, what was her name? Bree and Matt talking about being raised by single moms. Okay. Those are two shared experiences. if you were to go through and play by play one and play by play the other, you would see the differences of what it looks like when someone is playing with you and when someone is just observing and being a, like a trampoline, right? Like you say something and they go, and then you jump, you hit air. And you say something, they go, and you hit air again, versus, being in it together. And so I really want people to hear that. Like, if you feel like you're saying things like, I really don't know how he feels. I don't know where he stands. I don't know if we're on the same page. If you're getting that, like, if that's what's coming up for you, like, notice it. Because that is the common theme of all these women. They were just like, and in the very end, after the final the rose, I think Michelle says, like, I just didn't know how you stood. And in the episode, we were all dying. Like, she does the team jersey thing. She's like, oh, Mr. and Mrs. James. And he's like so uncomfortable. And you could tell his body language. He's like pulled back. And then he just says like, oh, I'm not really there yet. I can't get there. And then he leaves.
Yeah. And then he leaves, which, by the way, that is, I think I said it, that is like a advanced move. If you're going to break up with somebody, actually it's for ladies too, do it at their house so you can leave. And in case they're like, you have to throw them out of their house. That was good. Oh, with Savage again, fucker, he wouldn't even give her, 2 minutes to talk. And again, I just get so uncomfortable when he sits there, with just staring off into the silence and looking away like his mind has been shorted and he has nothing to say, and just making it so uncomfortable till you're finally, God damn, it's like first person to talk loses. So he never loses.
He never loses. And for those of you who don't watch the show but are listening to these episodes, like what happens is he breaks up with her, right? And, she ends up crying. He leaves, like Chris said, he walked himself out. And then what we find out from the After the Rose episode is she asked him to speak for 2 minutes off camera just to have personal closure, and he refused that conversation. And that's what an emotionally unavailable person who is not really a quality guy will literally just say, I'm out. I've made it be okay for myself. I'm not really concerned about you. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. I'm moving on. And that is very hurtful and selfish and makes me not like him.
As Matt James would say, the easy thing would have been for him to talk to her and explain why he did and how he made so many mistakes and how sorry is. The hard thing, get up and walk away. And
exactly. And that's what he kept saying. He kept saying that throughout the episode. Like, the easy thing would just to tell you what you want to hear. The hard thing is to just, and by the way, I always say, like, there are plenty of guys who want to have boyfriend privileges without taking boyfriend responsibility. And that is what he ended up doing at the end with Rachel. He basically says, like, I see a future, but I'm not ready to commit. I just want to date you. I want to be your boyfriend, but I don't want to commit. So I get all the privileges. We'll sleep together. We'll have fun. We'll get photo ops, whatever it is. But I don't actually want to deal with the whole commitment issue. So I'm just going to say, and this guy has never had a long-term relationship. So for those of you who are looking at like, I want to break a pattern, or I want someone who's going to break a pattern. He had a moment, and this is what really pisses me off. He had a moment to use this opportunity at the bare minimum to change something. And so he has the daddy moment a few weeks ago. I'm not going to be my dad. His mom now basically says, love fades. Don't rush into anything. He's got the relationships are scary. You're going to get hurt. You're going to leave someone. He's got all this family issue trauma that he hasn't dealt with. And instead of saying to Rachel, this would never happen, but this is what my vision is I want to happen to you, is that guy to say, I'm in love with you. I want to be with you. I also realize I have a ton of issues that I must work through in order to ever even date you. Like, I can't even date you right now. I am so caught up in my baggage. I need to work on that. I need a pause. Like, I need some space. And then like, let's see how it would go. Because all he did was just what he obviously does. He hangs out with her for a month or so, or 2 or 3. You know, the world conspired for him, whereby some stuff comes up. He is like, it's an easy opt out. Doesn't even want to have a conversation with her. After, what's the guy's name? Emmanuel. What was the guy's name?
Yeah, Emmanuel Acho.
Acho. And this is the only thing I'm going to say about this. Emmanuel Acho says, hey, look, let me talk about the difference between A and B and C. And what I think is happening here is C. Are you willing to revisit the conversation about maybe staying together? Because she has obviously demonstrated she's in category C and she is working on it. And he just says no. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, if you really are like, I love you, I'm committed to you, do you think it would have been fair for him to revisit? Or do you think he was just so happy to have an opt-out?
100%, dude. And as a guy who, like, on one side of me, as a guy goes, former game recognizes game. But I was like, dude, now you're just playing dirty. You're just using, like, you're turning to the dark side. You have these Jedi forces, these powers. Now you're just fucking being cruel and you're abusing your power. And it honestly, it blew my mind. I cannot imagine being ready, fucking somebody being on national TV, being committed to them, and the whole world watching, and still not giving them a chance and be like, nope, this is my out. You messed up. He's infallible, of course, because he never says or does anything remotely personal that can be criticized. And instead, oh, cool. He's like, oh, now America's on her. Of course, he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole because, like you said, there's controversy about her. She has to defend himself, and he doesn't want any part of have to defend himself. He knows what kind of smoke that would bring, and so he just walks away and just lets her sit there. That's just good, Lord. That's just cruel.
And because he's emotionally unavailable, he's not. He might love her, but he's not really ever probably had emotional intimacy with her. So it's easier to walk away, right? Like he just compartmentalizes it and goes on. I think that he has a pattern of avoidance, right? Like he avoids the date with Rachel. He avoids a conversation with Michelle. So he actually doesn't even want to have a conversation. I also feel like, and again, I don't want to take the topic of what he needs to address with her. I'm literally taking that out of the equation. Let's just replace any challenge that a couple would have where I thought you believed this and now I saw that you didn't. We have a big issue here after 3 or 4 months of dating. That's normal. Like, by the way, right? Like it doesn't have to be something as big as what we saw. There's many reasons after 4, 5, 6 months of dating, real shit comes up, right? The butterflies and rainbow time is over. Mm-hmm. And you have to decide, how are we going to get back to compatibility? And this guy has demonstrated zero, not only skills, but desire to ever figure out how to get back to compatibility, which pisses me off also. But go ahead.
Let me share something personal, because actually on that same subject, you said, he shows zero desire, zero effort. For some reason, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Something personal really came up when I was watching the show, and I didn't tell you, but while I was watching, it was when his mom, put some doubt in his mind and said something, and he read it as really doubtful. And then he later on admitted, he goes, I watched my mom grow up, pain and how much it hurt her. And basically because of that, he's like, I can never, be that guy. And honestly, I had that same experience growing up. My mom used to cry and pick me up, like literally lift me up off the ground and hold me and just make me promise that I would never hurt another person the way that the guy who was, my dad at the time, would hurt her. And I remember just fucking looking up in her eyes and loving her and needing her to love me back and wanting to heal her. And it just really scared the shit out of me. And I think that is what, really fueled my fear to avoid and commit. Because I do think Matt does care about, I think he is a good human being who doesn't want to hurt people. And to show the guy some grace, I think it's important to share that. And
I agree.
Scary. It is scary as hell And the stakes are so high because every woman he sees is a potential to cause that same pain, and I'm sure bring him back to those really shitty feelings of hurting his mom again. And I think he's just barely now at the stage. You heard him say it, that he's realizing he is not his mother and father. He is not their relationship, and he hasn't yet putting distance in between there. But he's unfortunately, it's like he's getting therapy on national, beginning his first stage of therapy on national television. And I hope he keeps going down that path. But I did see, and I did feel compassion for him. Like, shit, if he's really feeling that way, it's no wonder that he runs away from it like a fire. And even though he's tried so hard to be perfect, and so hard not to hurt anybody, but that's the irony of it all, is that in the end, he ends up doing, everybody else is all in. And then he just slips out the back door every time and leaves them in the burning house. To deal with his past traumas. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share that.
No, that's so good. I love that you shared that. And I think, and that's, I want to thank you for bringing that up, because he's not a bad person. He is a person who's not ready to date. And as everyone said, like, why the fuck did they cast this guy? Like, literally, like, he is just like, he's a bad actor and he's not really looking for love. But I think that's really, really important, is that, the fuckboy isn't a bad person, or the quality casual guy, or the crumbs guy, or whatever you want to call him, right? Like, he's human and he's going through his stuff. And I think that both things are so true, what you said. And I want to point it out. He has one convo with his dad. It's his big epiphany. He's like, oh, I'm not my dad, right? Like, I'm not going to, and now what we know that means is, I wouldn't leave someone. Like, I would be a good husband. Then he talks to mom, and she reminds him, right, of what it was like. And he ends up going, wait, what if I am my dad? Mm-hmm. I would never want to hurt this woman like my mom was hurt. And then he's just paralyzed. And that's the other thing I want to say about not being able to speak. Mm-hmm. Now, look, I'm always giving my opinion from my living room. So I'm not him. I will never know the experience of being him. But my observation, and Dr. Emily was in the room as well, so I always like to have another professional opinion. I'm going to say, when he is asked to share he has options: share a thought, share a feeling. He literally, and I've been this person, like, I've been so emotionally shut down and paralyzed that I remember these moments early on in my own life where I literally, like, I couldn't speak. It was as if someone had put like that silver tape over my mouth. Like, words would not come out. Like, all this stuff was going on in my head. And so while some may say, he didn't know how to express his emotions, or he couldn't express his emotions, or whatever it is, whatever they were, I do believe that whether you're angry or sad, confused, like, we all have to take responsibility to find healthy ways to express ourselves. And whether he was angry because of the topic at which the breakup had to be, initiated, like, he's just, he's angry, or if he is sad, or whatever it is, I just believe that as adults trying to have healthy relationships, it is our responsibility to figure out nonviolent ways to communicate. If you're angry, really fucking angry, not just like a little angry. If you're sad, if you're devastated, if you're confused. And I think it shows, because my guess is he got the shit media trained out of him. I mean, I can't imagine he went into that thing unprepared. And it shows, ladies, like, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how prepared you are. Like, you could have the whole script laid out. I'm sure he practiced 107 times. When your emotional brain gets hijacked, and you're like, what we saw was like 6-year-old Matt James, like, he can't speak. It doesn't matter how smart we are, and that's what happens, and that's what unavailable looks like. And Emmanuel Acho's like being like, come on, man, like, you got to speak, get it out, like, we We need to hear it from you. And nothing comes out. I mean, that's a sign that a person is really struggling.
Yeah. Just frozen, like you said, just frozen with fear. He's so afraid to say something. And that's just, that was painful, I guess. I guess maybe that's why I was getting angry.
Because we've all been there, and it's
yeah.
And I think it also shows, like, doesn't matter who's asking the question. So if you're sitting across from a guy and you're breaking up or you're in an argument or he's getting triggered and he says, I don't know, or he doesn't speak, like literally, like there's no right question that you can ask, right? Because they're just in a space. I mean, I would take a 20-minute, I would take a break. I'd be like, if this were real life, I'd be like, wow, you know what? It's like we're both really hurting right now. I think we're not able to have like the kind of conversation that's going to be productive. Let's decide to go take a walk. Like, let's come back in an hour. Let's meet up tomorrow morning, right? Like somebody say, let's take the break. And then make sure when you do that, that you have a reconvening time and that you have an agreement about that. They obviously can't do that on television. Well, they probably should have. But that was painful to watch. And I felt really bad for Rachel.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
All right. So let me ask you this question. Well, okay. First of all, I just have to have I was completely creeped out by the way he grabbed his mom's leg.
As was the whole nation.
I was like, I screamed. My kids were like, Mom, calm down. I'm like, I am so.
We tried to rewind it, and Marni like couldn't watch it. She's like, no, turn it away. It's like one of those not safe for work videos or faces of death or something. Like, please, no. I thought I wanted to watch it. I don't want to watch it.
No, I don't. Like, I'm not even gonna comment on that. That was just I have no comment, but I was creeped out. So let's talk about this. Because this also isn't getting talked about. I am so pissed that Rachel shows up to the lake, right? Because in the episode, again, for those of you who don't watch, he has a date with her planned the day before he's going to propose. And he cancels the date, but he doesn't do it himself. He sends, Chris Harrison to do it. And Chris Harrison comes to the door and he's like, oh, Matt's not going to meet you today. Quite frankly, he's in a bad place. He's lost. That's all I know for now. I'm sorry. Bye-bye. And Rachel, and I think it was Raina or maybe Dr. Emily who said, like, I can't believe she's saying this is really impacting. I don't know if I want to show up tomorrow for the proposal. And I'm thinking, that is so undignified. Like, a guy is going to cancel without being direct or communicating about it. It's like in real life, like what would that even look like? Would you have like your friend text the girl you're dating and being like, yeah, Chris is in a really bad spot right now. So like he can't meet you today. On what planet would a woman be like, oh, well, I mean, they would. They'd be like, oh, my God, is he okay? So, I mean, as a woman who's been stood up like a shit ton of times probably in my life and ghosted.
No.
Oh, honey. Honey, on my birthday when I was dating Johnny Locke, he was going to like take me away for the weekend. And like pick me up at like noon on a Friday or whatever. And let's just say it's 7:00. He still wasn't there. And he was like, okay. And then he got there and he was like, so this is so undignified. He was like, oh, so I also need to go pick up some weed in Topanga that I'm going to give to, this guy that I know who's going to like literally like, what the fuck? Anyway. And then by the time we got to our destination, this hotel he picked for my birthday, all the restaurants were closed. So we went to Ralph's and he got some fucking cheese. Okay. So just so you know, ladies.
Stories, by the way.
Oh,
so good. God. Marni, I I am always blown away the more I hear, because I just know you as dignified, Marni, and yeah, this is cool to realize the pain that drives you to be so goddamn good at your job. This is helpful for me.
Yeah, no, it was fucked up. So that would be that's basically like Johnny Locke, like coming at 7 on the night before our wedding and us going to get cheese at Ralph's. And I'm like, I wonder if I should marry him. Like, is that weird that he like was 10 hours late and then wanted to stop and like pick up some weed and take me to Ralph's grocery store, for those of you who don't live in Southern California. So like, do you go, Rachel, wake the fuck up? Why? But just so everyone knows, so then she gets there and she's like, oh, that was really made me mad. But like, you were hurting. You must have been so hurting to blow me off that I would never leave you and turn my back on you because you were hurting so much. I mean, what, like when the player guy has gotten away with murder, I mean, what, I don't know. You tell me what you think about all that.
It's amazing. You're right. He once again, he brought her not even good cheese, the Kroger cheese platter.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the shittiest one. But he saved all his money for the good weed and brought her a Kroger cheese platter. And I think it's just another example of Rachel doing. It's another example. I 100%. I called it, guys. I hate to say it, but I did. He enables him and allows him to be the nice guy shitbag that he is, and to continue to use these ladies. So it's totally on brand with Rachel throughout the whole season and why he chose her. And it is, I didn't, being a guy and having a tiny bit of Johnny Locke. Is that his name?
That's what I called him.
Great name, Johnny Locke. The fucking nemesis. I think I've had it, but it was like when he did that, and I heard the whole gasp in the room from all you ladies. That's when I realized, like, holy moly, that is really. I knew it was shitty of him, but then it was awkward and just let me be your mommy. I can't let you hurt. I can't let you learn. Basically, I can't let you grow. I can't let you. Keep on doing what you keep doing, brother. Split the record over, same fucking side. So.
Yeah, it was just gross. It was gross, and you said something really important that I want to highlight. Like, Michelle and Bree seem to have a little bit more self-worth and self-esteem and, just more of that it factor, right? And Rachel didn't. And so she was the most malleable. She'll put up with the most shit. So, and also she's the most unavailable emotionally as well. And so, when people say like, why do I keep attracting guys like that? Well, because you are like that. So she says, oh, we hit it off because we both were like never been in a relationship. We're both really guarded. We're both really scared of commitment. Like, no, that is not, that should not, we're so compatible because we're both so fucked up. So that whole thing, I was mad for her. And then he just got away with it because everyone was so distracted by the other bright, shiny objects. It's no one saying like how rude it is to flake and ghost. And then his message too, even the little message, which the producers, I'm sure, concocted, was like, Rachel, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I have some answers. Meet me at the lake. It wasn't even like, I'm sorry I hurt you. Like, and then he shows up in his suit. Yeah. And all of us were like, what? Meet me at the lake. Like, you were saying that Emily would have worn her, like, what are they, pajamarals?
Pajoveralls.
Her pajoveralls.
Pajama overalls. Ladies, if you ever want a bone softener for your man, buy some pajoveralls. He'll leave you alone. Don't
oh, my God. That's so funny. So Emily's like, if I got a thing that was like, me, like, sorry. No, not even sorry I ghosted. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about why I ghosted you. Meet me at the lake. Emily's like, I would wear my pajoveralls. And Matt James shows up in his suit, and we're all like, why? Wait, no. He's going to propose? No. Really? And then she shows up in some, like, fucking evening gown, and I was like, oh, please. I can't take it.
Even worse, he talked to Chris Harris and goes, oh, I'm just going to go up there and see how I'm feeling in the moment. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's his level of commitment. Like, dude, you haven't even decided, I'm just going to play it out like he's playing a basketball game or something. It's make a last minute decision on there. who wants to be the last minute decision?
Totally.
Girl.
Well, that's the other thing. Like up until the whole last few days before, like the women in the room were like, nobody wants to get engaged to the guy who's like, should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Shouldn't I? Am I ready for this kind of commitment? I mean, I think it's normal for a man to have cold feet, but not at the level where he's like actually thinking, I'm not going to do it, which he didn't. He did not pull the trigger. Spoiler fucking alert. We all knew. We all fucking knew who it was, and we all knew. Okay, last thing.
And thank God, right, Marni? And thank God.
Yes.
Pull the trigger. Because it would, that's a trigger is a good word. With a gun would have went off, boom. Yeah, it would have ended badly. A trigger is a great metaphor.
Okay, so the other thing.
They all got away.
They all got away. So, last thing is, so after the final rose, Michelle comes. She's looking beautiful. And Matt James, the character, comes up. Because I don't want to trash his humanity. But so Matt James comes up and she's like, I was really pissed because I asked you for time and you didn't give it to me. And, that sucks. What do you have to say about it? And he basically says, thanks for sharing that. I mean, basically he says, he doesn't even say, and ladies, this is another how I know I'm dating someone who's unavailable. He says, I'm sorry you had that reaction. He doesn't say, like, I'm sorry I hurt you. He's like, oh, I'm really sorry you, like, were hurt. Fuck that. Right?
What would happen if Matt James dated a Matt James? What would that look like?
He did. Her name is Rachel.
Yeah, I guess he kind of did. And then nothing ends up happening. Okay.
Oh, yeah, because when you have two people who are unavailable, and it's like how it played out, right? Like, she's really not ready to commit. Then he's not ready to commit. Then the power dynamic changes, right? So then the whole chaos and crisis ensues. He's never been ready. She falls into, I think I'll be like oh my God, I'll never get over you. I'm 22. I'll never love like you again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe that'll work, right? Like I'll go into victim mode.
Yeah.
He's totally. Not buying it. He's not buying it.
Totally. But did you notice, and I've done this and I've been like super just victim mode and just floored and I got all skinny. Did you notice how she did look? Rachel did look. She didn't look healthy skinny. Not like, oh, you've been working out and doing your Peloton skinny. Like she looked like, she's been in some dark places, put makeup on because she's a young, gorgeous girl. But she did look like some trauma has hit the side of her.
Oh, Matt James is like the least of her problems. But I think that, I think he was going to look for an exit, honestly, no matter what. I think this guy was the king of hit it and quit it. And he was always emotionally unavailable. You and I have been saying the whole time he's afraid of commitment. He did not come around like Zach from Tayshia's season. He was not a quality guy. He didn't treat the women well. He was not emotionally available. He kisses with his eyes open, and no one had ever told him that, which is weird in itself.
He wears turtlenecs. The list goes on.
The whole thing goes on and on. He just makes me mad. But I think, one thing, like, I just wish Michelle, and I think she couldn't because of the conditions, she couldn't really hold his feet to the fire about how rude he was. He did ultimately kind of apologize. But he didn't explain it. He didn't explain why. He didn't talk about his feelings. He didn't share anything. And then she kind of says, well, I hope you get over, kissing with your eyes open and figure out other things to say besides thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
And that's the end of it.
Yep.
And that's the freaking end of it. And I want to tell you all, by the way, if you didn't read this yet, after the final rose edited out a conversation between Michelle and Rachel. They brought Bree back, who he also dumped, and that was edited out. So I think there's a whole lot of things that we don't know about that are part of the story that are on the cutting room floor.
Right. Let's talk a second about closure.
Yeah.
Getting closure and not getting closure and what to ask for and Yeah, because that's I felt I didn't get closure. I'm upset. I think America's upset. We wanted to see some loose ends tied, and he just sat there freaked out, staring off into the empty studio audience, and didn't say anything. And then Emmanuel Anch was like, "Hey, dude, are you there, buddy?" I'm like laying it up. I'm putting the ball right at the rim. Just knock it in, say something, sniff, let me know your life. He didn't give any signs of that he was there to communicate all there. So how does what do you do when you can't get closure, and how can you set yourself up to get some closure, and what's the correct way to do it without coming across victim-y, and just and to figure out what can you learn from it and to move on and grow from it?
Well, I think if someone's got some dignity and self-worth and you have this traumatic or chaotic or heated breakup, I think it's fair to say, hey, can we just meet for coffee or take a walk? I just want to have closure. Like, I'm not happy with the way that I ended things. I said some things. I just really would like to ask some questions when I'm less emotional and I can just really hear you. I think, and she has said in that interview, she said, I wasn't trying to get you back. And I made that very clear. And so saying that, like, I think we're on this, we're good decision to break up. I just love to have some closure, and have a conversation. And if someone says no, then you go, okay, that's my closure, right? Like, they're not even invested in having that conversation. Just men mean what they say and say what they mean. I also think you have to look at your motivation. And so a lot of ladies will be like, I just need closure. But low key, they just want to sleep with him, or they just want to seduce him, or they just want to try and get him back. I mean, I was, used to do that with Johnny Locke all the time. Like, one more thing, just one more thing. Or can we be friends thing? And it's like, no, you can't be friends. So look at your motivation for closure. I think in the end, and this is what I think Michelle answered when I think Emmanuel Amacho says, like, are you still in love with him? And she's like, I'll always care about you, but I don't feel the same way I did on that last day. Yeah. Like, I think she watched the show back. She saw his douchebaggery unfold. Yeah. And I think she's a smart woman. I'm sorry that she's going to be Bachelorette. Hopefully something will get in the way and she won't actually do it.
What? Why do you say they're sorry?
Because, I know that what I read is that she's going to record hers or tape hers or film it or whatever they call in the summer, because she wants to keep her damn job, which I love, right? She's going to finish out the school year. And so I just think she's a really good soul. And I don't know if the franchise of The Bachelor can come back. I hope so. I don't want her to be another, just a character who got cast for the wrong reason. Right. I don't know. I just think she's sweet. I don't know about Katie.
It does seem, the way the producers are, we got to get something. We got to get one on. They do seem to be a little Dr. Evil-ish and tend to not want the best turnout and just go for the most whatever's going to get them rating. Yeah. It's funny. A little funny side note. Yeah, Dr. Emily always said, she's like, both her and her mom loved the show, but she's like, my mom would absolutely kill me if I was on the Bachelor. And
God,
always told me that. Yeah.
No, definitely not. No,
Survivor
no.
only.
Yeah, only Survivor only. You and Dr. Emily should go on Amazing Race.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, you guys are really good at that. The last thing that I wanted to say was the other thing about how you said, I think America was all left wanting closure. And I think there's that awkward moment for those of you who watch when you're sitting in a room with someone who won't speak, and it's excruciating. And we were all in that moment, when Matt James just couldn't speak for a good solid 3 to 5 minutes on television. Like, that's epic. What also I think was not reading the room is, Michelle makes some little comment about with your eyes, close your eyes and say more sincere shit. And then he looks right to the camera. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, who's going to be your next Bachelorette? And I'm like, nobody gives a shit. I mean, yes, they do. But it's that expecting all of us to just get over it. Yep. And forget what happened and look toward the future. And I think that you have to go through a grieving process. I think you have to deal with the relationship ending. I think for those of us who kind of were traumatized by this season after a Tayshia Claire clusterfuck season. It's been a lot. And I think that in real life, what people do is you break up and they're like, oh my God, I have this amazing guy, or you should just go out with this person, or, just, forget about him. He's a jerk. And I think that we need a little bit of space to grieve and process. And that's why I didn't want Matt to get right back out there and date. I hope to hell that guy gets the help that he needs for himself, in regard to having healthy relationships, because if you are ever going to do a poster child for why it's important to do the kind of work that we do for our clients, that's it. Because it does not matter, ladies, how beautiful you are, how well dressed you are, your resume, your career, that you're a philanthropist, that you're fit. None of it matters if you don't handle your shit. And I bless him for showing America and the world that you cannot hide from what you are leaking when you are in pain.
For sure. And on that similar note, it also it goes to show we were all bamboozled by this, beautiful, shiny, sexy toy in Matt James.
I was never bamboozled.
I know you weren't. I remember that. I remember our
I'm fuckboy proof. I'm fuckboy
and
proof.
I was walking around. I remember circles, and I was like thrown back. I was like, "You don't think he's hot?" You're like, "No." You immediately saw all through it, knew how it was going to end. You are. You've been Johnny Locker one too many times, God.
I know. I'm total fuckboy
nothing on you
for sure.
But so many of us were, and I think I'm sure more than a few of your listeners have also, myself included, have been like just obsessed, and convinced ourselves. And tried so hard to only see the good things in the end. I mean, look, even the girls in the end, it's so annoying. They're still thanking him for his time and for, getting to know him and all that bullshit. But in the end, we were all blinded by this U-Haul of garbage. And look, we all have garbage, but unsorted just problems, not packaged up U-Haul, just a fucking dump truck, just dragging it through him. And he just dumps it all off on, like I said, like the viewers and these women. And they're just sitting there in his wake. And so it's just nuts how, I guess I was dubbed. I hope the producers weren't being evil geniuses and doing this to us to teach us a lesson. And they were actually duped by his cool TikTok videos with Tyler Cameron. They actually thought he would be a good bachelor. But either way, not everything that glitters is gold.
Not everything that glitters is gold. Ladies, if you want us to ever help you, find us. Go to datingwithdating.com. Don't be the girl Matt James, or don't be Matt Jamesed. That's a new thing on our campus. Like if you're dating a guy who doesn't talk, you're like, I totally got Matt Jamesed, just so you know. So don't be a Matt Jameser. Learn how to communicate. Join us in our Facebook group, our freemium. We call it freemium, Chris, because it's free, but we do premium content. We're actually taking people through our process there. And we're trying to figure out this Clubhouse thing. So maybe you can come find us there as well. Chris, what are your last words about this season of the damn Bachelor?
Bring on the dildo girl, Katie. When that's what we got to look forward to, and that's all that we could suss out of it, out of the season is like, oh, how about that one girl? She was pretty good. She was pretty rational. Oh, which one? The one to vibrator. Oh yeah. She does have some wisdom. So I think, Marni, I hope. I really enjoy doing these with you. I know you're upset right now. You know it's time to grieve.
I do.
To catch your breath. You totally do. When you get over your Matt James and Johnny Lockness and come back. And I just don't know elsewhere. Anything else is interesting and fascinating, and I do enjoy chatting with you guys and all the everyone who's listening with this. So, fingers crossed. I think it's going to get better. It can only get better. It can
only get better, ladies. Thanks for playing, and whatever you do, please, I beg of you, if he doesn't show up, don't attend the proposal. And make sure you do it with some damn dignity. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.